Lil Xan is an odd figure in the rap game and overall seen by many as pretty soft, so to think that he actually had beefs is kinda weird. Before that one dickhead in the comments brings up that these aren't actually beefs, well, I'm not talking about the streets here, they're mostly just petty arguments, disagreements, and overall just pretty unimportant. But hey, come on, have some fun for once in your life when we look into the many beefs of Lil Xan. Now we all know that Xan first blew up in late 2017 after only making music for about a year with his track Betrayed, but before he dropped Betrayed he had another song called No Love, which prominently featured Broken Hearts, which soon became integral to his brand. He would eventually brand himself the Heartbreak Soldier and create 2 mixtapes under the same name, and this really pissed off a Canadian rapper named Killy who thought that Xan was stealing his entire style, seeing as he had a song named No Romance and often used Broken Hearts as well. He would take to his story to call Xan a waste man and other Toronto slang, with Xan responding to this on his first No Jumper interview.
Pretty universal thing that you somehow kind of branded.
Yeah, I mean, like, like I can't say I created that, but I'm just saying
No,
I'm
but
really
it's kind of your thing now, you know?
Yeah. Also,
branded up.
fuck, what's that rapper's name? Killy.
Fuck him, why?
Yeah, Killy a bitch, kill you a bitch.
Whoa, why?
Nah, calling me like a waste you. What is it? I don't even speak that language, bro.
What?
Yeah, bro. Just because, okay, we directed a video called No Love, and at the end, the ending sequence looks over the title because it looks just like his No Romance. So he had to go on to Insta and like project negative energy, calling me like a waste. A waste of space, basically.
I didn't know that.
Like, bro, you didn't create that title, bro. That's been around for movies forever.
Calling out Killy and saying he was a negative person.
Oh, I make good music, bro. Man's are trying to beef me, call me a bitch. You're dumb, bro. Man's are hilarious. He's banned from Toronto. Man had... Yo, this guy's calling me a bitch. He doesn't know he has a show in Toronto on the 25th? Come on now.
This would eventually lead to an altercation in real life when Killy caught Xan at a store and tried to throw hands with him.
You remember me, bro?
Who the fuck hit us?
Xan ended up hiding behind a security, and after the video went online, it kinda cemented Xan as being a soft rapper. Now it's uncertain if the two like each other now because neither one of them have ever spoken on each other again, but Xan's reputation definitely took a hit after that day, although it wasn't that big of a deal. The next controversy came when Lil Peep passed away, and Xan, trying to pay respects, ended up posting a Photoshop picture of the two of them together, causing many Peep fans to accuse him of clout chasing, with one fan even accusing Xan of selling pressed Xans himself. This fan claims to have known Xan during his time living in Redlands, California, and said that Xan actually used to sell Xans to a bunch of people, and a lot of them ended up getting sick or throwing up after they got them, which is pretty bad, but at the same time he also dissed Xan's dead homie Sitgo, so he wasn't really being respectful right out of the gate, and after that Xan responded in a very negative way himself. As you can see from this comment section, he said some pretty gnarly stuff here that I don't really want to repeat, but yeah, I guess he was probably just upset because he was dissing his dead friends, so we can't hold it against him too much, but this was kind of a minor beef here. And as soon as that Peep controversy faded away, he got into trouble again by disrespecting another dead rapper, the legendary Tupac Shakur, when he went on an interview saying that Tupac had no clout and made boring music. Now,
2. Boring music.
in his defense, he says the interviewer actually cut the video in a weird way to make it seem worse than it actually was, and he was pretty annoyed with the interviewer the entire time, so he was a bit agitated when they asked him that question, but either way, hip-hop fans did not take it well. This led rappers like Snoop Dogg,
Alright. Enough with the bullshit.
Waka Flocka, and this main to attack Xan, banning him from hip-hop and crapping all over his music, while other rappers like Trippie Redd actually took to Xan's defense.
Personally think y'all need to get off Lil Xan's dick. That was my little dog. And I love Tupac. That was my brother's, my dead brother's favorite artist. Feel me?
But probably the most disrespectful of all of them was Young Bands, a rapper who had actually recently collabed with Lil Xan on the song Young Xan. Bands would hop on Twitter and start to diss Xan, and I don't really think he actually had a problem with Xan. He probably just wanted a little bit of clout around the situation and wanted to hop on the wave of hate for him and make fun of him, because at this point Xan was becoming kind of a meme.
Like when you diss Lil Xan on Twitter and made him sad and probably cry, I didn't really understand, but I'm guessing that was just how you were feeling at the time.
What happened with that shit, Jay? Because I forgot about Lil Xan. Like, Lil Xan...
You did a song with him or something at some point, and then you just randomly on Twitter said, like, I wish I didn't do that song with Lil Xan.
He didn't post a song.
Oh, so that
Niggas
pissed
gotta
you off.
stop showing fake love, bro.
Lil Xan would respond to this in a now deleted video.
I think I'm, like, one of the most hated people right now in rap, but, like, that's my goal. I came to piss y'all off. At this point, I don't give a fuck. all these rappers that I thought were my friends, talking on that picture of me pissing on my plaque. Hey, how about y'all motherfuckers, like, you know, DM me and actually, you know, talk to me. Give me a phone call. Y'all know how to reach me. You know what? I thought we was cool. But all y'all fake as fuck. I'm in my own lane, a better lane. So that's all I gotta say.
Oh, and after that, the two didn't speak on each other again. But the worst altercation that came from the Tupac situation was when a man actually pulled up on Lil Xan at a gas station. This led to a screaming match between the two, where Xan actually ended up pulling out a gun and threatening the man.
You a bitch, homie.
Hey, yo, bro.
Hey, look at this little bitch, homie. Do something then, dog.
What the fuck you want, bro?
Hey, homie.
Get the fuck out. Get out.
Man, God, this motherfucker pulling a gun.
Fuck out, nigga.
Hey, y'all see this shit, right? Look at Lil Xan pulling a gun right now. Look at little
Get out.
Hey, look at this guy pulling the gun right now. Look at this motherfucker. Hey, pull that shit out again, homie. Hey, homie, you a bitch.
You a bitch.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
Hey, look at my
Yeah.
car. Look at my car.
Yeah. Look at your car, you little bitch.
Leading to several TMZ articles and debates online about whether it was the right choice or not to do so, because of course the man sold the video to TMZ to get a little bit of clout, and a lot of people were clowning on Xan, while others were actually happy that Xan had finally stood his ground. But what do you think? Do you think Xan's a pussy for doing this, or do you think it was the right choice? Let me know. Another random enemy that Xan made during this time in the game was Tana Mongeau, a groupie and storytime YouTuber who he dated for a short time in 2018. And if you know anything about Xan, of course he cheated on her, prompting her to create a video talking about their breakup, calling him out about the situation, and even teaming up with another ex, Noah Cyrus, to clown on him further. This was a couple years later though, before finally getting her husband Jake Paul to confront Xan in what we can only explain as a stunt for YouTube, because obviously she probably didn't care by this point. It was 2020. And then in 2022 they actually ended up dating again, so yeah, I don't even know what's going on at this point. This actually caused Xan's other freaking collaborator, Chris Miles, to become upset, seeing as how him and Tana had actually previously dated and supposedly he was in love with her.
I don't know why you're bringing this on Instagram, bro. I've never brought anything on Instagram in my life, especially because we're such good friends. But with that being said, you just did some weird ass shit. I love you though. She's for everybody. Also, we have an EP dropping soon, so like, what the f?
There's a very good friend of mine. I won't even say his name, but you know who I'm talking about. That, yo, just give me a call. I have no hard feelings. I know you have a lot of hard feelings.
All right, Xan. 1v1 boxing match. Just let me slap the shit out of you real quick, and then we'll call it even.
So in retaliation, Chris ended up banging Xan's girlfriend or his ex-girlfriend, or before they were actually dating, I don't really know. But it led up to this extremely awkward TMZ interview where Xan walked out of the club extremely drunk and started dissing Chris Miles, saying that he was in love with Tana, and just a bunch of sloppy shit where he obviously very much embarrassed his girlfriend at the time.
This is my girlfriend, Noelle. Me and Tana were doing a little fake dating PR thing.
Right.
You know,
You're
he's
saying-
in love with Tana, man. He fucking loves her.
Not even trying to be
He
funny.
wouldn't admit it, though. He would never admit it, though. He'd try to slap me. Two things I'm obsessed with. Tana and my sloppy seconds. I actually hooked up with my girlfriend a month before.
Wait, oh, I feel like you're kind of being put on blast right there.
No, I love
You
her.
hooked up with him?
Yeah.
But I guess she didn't care because she stayed with him for a while after that, but overall it's just a bunch of bullshit. Chris then responded that he wouldn't drop any more music with Xan until he got a chance to punch him out.
What's the deal, man? Like, you and Xan cool or what? Because it seemed like y'all was beefing because of homegirl, our friend, our mutual friend.
I mean, that's my brother. I told him he just did some weird. I told him to pull up to the studio last night where we could just like square it out one-on-one.
Oh, like that?
Yeah, I mean, but that's
Like that?
my brother. I just wanted to like get it out real quick.
Okay.
But eventually the tension cooled and they dropped their joint project, Have a Nice Day. So it's a happy ending and they ended up becoming friends again. Nah, I'm just kidding. They're actually beefing as recently as 2023 and this is becoming the most LA thing ever, so let's just move on. So besides beefing with his fellow collaborators and random B-list celebrities, Xan also manages to get into issues with Instagram clowns, including Supreme Patty. So basically Xan invited Supreme Patty out to one of his shows so he could watch, but Patty ended up getting really drunk, drinking out of all the girls' bottles and then trying to get on stage, so Xan threw a drink in his face, which led to a brawl, but then again the security got in the way, so that's the second time that Xan's actually hidden behind security, which I don't really care, but I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, he's hiding behind security. And then of course the entire event was recorded and posted once again by TMZ. I really feel like TMZ absolutely loves Lil Xan because he gives them so much content. TMZ also said that Lil Xan was blackout drunk, causing him to respond, calling out TMZ for reporting the wrong information, with Supreme Patty going off on Xan, calling him a pussy, photoshopping his head onto a baby, and doing anything he could to stir the pot. And Xan didn't really respond to that whatsoever, but I do kind of feel like they should have went back and forth. It could have been a little bit funny, and both of them had kind of fallen off at that point, so why not get a little bit of clout? So you think that'd be it, but there's actually more rappers for Xan to beef with, because there's also the rapper known as Jumix, who he'd have a small problem with in 2020. So by this point, Jumix had already kind of fallen off, but Xan really wanted to get a feature from him, so he started posting pictures with Jumix, the Juice, and a bunch of other things to try to get his attention, leading Jumix to respond that he wouldn't work with Paz. But I hear you asking, who is he talking about? Well, it turns out that Lil Xan was actually dating a girl around this time known as Lil Saku. Jumix was claiming that she had actually tried to get with his 15-year-old friend Sad Crod and that he wouldn't work with Xan as long as they were dating. This rubbed Xan the wrong way and he would respond saying that Jumix had actually stolen his style and that he was trying to be nice and work with a smaller artist and he was being a dick about it. And it could actually be proven that Jumix was a fan of Lil Xan at one point because they had pictures together before Jumix ever blew up, so that's possible, but at the same time I can kind of see why Jumix didn't want to work with Xan when he was dating somebody like that. Soon after that, No Jumper would actually report on the story, and thankfully they did because that means a lot of the screenshots are still around right now so we can relook at it. But after that, Xan of course dumped Lil Saku, probably not because of this drama, probably just because he found a new girl to and then the two ended up making their collaboration song XOXO, which is actually a pretty good song considering everything else Xan was putting out at the time, but of course by that point in 2020 both of them have fallen off, so nobody really cared that much anymore. Do an interview with me, Jumix. Anyways, let's move on. This next beef takes place around 2022 when Peep's mom finally won the lawsuit for the wrongful death of Lil Peep, and everybody was talking about how his management had given him drugs, and Lil Xan decided to hop on that wave and also claimed that his manager had actually given him drugs as well.
Do you guys remember the whole Lil Peep, the story where his management was giving him drugs? Well, that happened to me on tour, and my manager's name, Stat Quo. Remember that name, Stat Quo, because when I was on tour through 2018 to 2000. Whatever, the world tours with Nicki and Juice and all that. I was a drug addict back then, right? And my manager was supplying me with the drugs.
His manager is actually a former rapper named Stat Quo, and he claimed that he would always give him drugs, didn't want him to be healthy, would force him to do shows and a lot of other things, just claiming he was an overall bad guy. Seeing as how Stat already had a pretty good reputation in the scene, people like Adam22 immediately called out Xan for lying about the situation.
All right, so we did the news earlier today and we talked about the whole Lil Xan calling out his manager, Stat Quo, his ex-manager, saying that he had him hooked on drugs or wanted to keep him hooked on drugs or whatever. And, you know, I'm cool with Lil Xan, so I felt like I was trying to kind of play both sides and not go fully in, but I just noticed that Lil Xan unfollowed me and No Jumper, so I figured why hold back? Anyway, this is what I gotta say. Xan, you gotta stop playing the victim. Because I was up close and personal, granted, for the whole time, but for plenty of the shit with you and Stat, and I saw nothing but him trying to push you in the right direction to make smart moves with your career. I saw him use his vast network of connects to get you collabs with artists like YG and all these people that were not gonna do songs with you otherwise. And I just wholeheartedly do not believe for a second that Stat Quo wanted you fucked up on drugs at all. I know for a fact he wanted the best for your career?
As the tour in question he was talking about was the Nicki Minaj tour that he only played one show on. So even if Stat did give Zan drugs, that was only one show, and Zan was always high all the time anyways, so most of the year he was finding his own drugs, and Stat Quo giving him drugs once didn't really lead to his addiction. And overall it just came off like he was blaming somebody else for his problems. Adam would go on to say that Stat was a very sober guy who only wanted the best for his artist, and would say that Zan was very lazy all the times that he met him. He didn't want to get in the studio, make music, and he destroyed his own career, and it wasn't Stat's fault. So how did Zan respond to this? Well, basically he just called Lena a hoe, which I don't really think offended Adam that much, because as we all know, a couple years later he would do the whole cuck shit, so I don't really think that offended him, and the two made up pretty soon after that. However, the same can't be said for Zan and Stat Quo, because the real issue was actually over the G-Wagon that Zan owned. Stat Quo wanted him to pay the last $30,000 off of it so he could then release the G-Wagon into Zan's name, where Zan said he had already paid enough money on it and that Stat should just pay the final $30K and give him the car anyways. Of course, there was no way that Stat was going to go for that, so after 5 years of working together, he sold the car and dropped Lil Xan as a client. And I just can't believe that Xan did this, because if you know any history behind the relationship, Stat Quo is basically the reason that Lil Xan ever became famous in the first place. He found Xan while he was recording in a garage, saw his face stats, and wanted to blow him up. He put tons of money into his career. He ended up getting him big name features off of Total Xanarchy, but Xan just wouldn't get in the studio and record music, so that album came out really bad, and then he ended up blaming his management for that. Xan was also constantly going crazy, scratching up his cars, saying his dad was a crackhead, and Stat Quo was trying to save his reputation the whole time, but Xan just wouldn't stop. And he even blamed him once again when him and Noah Cyrus broke up, when that had nothing to do with management whatsoever. Xan was just upset because Noah ended up sending him a picture of a naked guy, which turned out just to be a meme, and then Xan took it too seriously and broke it off, and then he said that his management was faking the entire relationship.
Yo, the Live or Die video is not gonna be coming out at this point because I've been informed, like, you know when you like a girl and shit and whatnot, but I've just been informed that basically it was all fake and I'm being used. So fuck it. I guess I was just being used. I thought, I was in love, but whatever.
Which just wasn't true whatsoever. So yeah, he was basically always going after Stat Quo when all Stat wanted was to see Xan succeed, trying to put a lot of work into him, but after 5 years of that bullshit, he finally decided enough was enough. So after all that nonsense, Xan attempted to do a comeback tour with a band known as Dropout Kings, but he ended up dropping out of the tour at the last minute because the accommodations weren't up to his standards, which most likely is because Xan didn't realize he wasn't that famous anymore and he wasn't going to get to go on any big name tours where he got hotel rooms, accommodations, fancy rooms, and everything that came along with it. He was going to have to do just basic tours with small time bands because his star had faded quite a bit by this point. And I don't really know what he expected, because he would sometimes go on tours and then just drop out halfway through and go home for no reason whatsoever, just completely cancel the tour without telling anybody. But anyways, after Xan dropped out, the Dropout Kings ended up going on the tour anyways and renaming it to the Fuck Lil Xan Tour, with him responding, basically saying a bunch of bullshit and then saying have fun on your Fuck Lil Xan Tour. Also around this time, a lot of people thought that Xan was dissing Yeet because he posted this story, and a lot of people thought that was actually a sneak diss regarded for him, but after that he spoke about it on the No Jumper podcast and said it wasn't, so who knows. Some random guy ran up on Xan in a mall. He also told another story of a random guy running up at him in his hotel room. A lot of people run up on Xan apparently over the whole Tupac situation. And finally we have this random story of Xan calling whoever this is old and washed up. I don't know who this is, I don't know everything, but if you know who this is, then definitely let me know. And with that being said, I think that's all the beefs of Lil Xan. Maybe there's a couple other ones, I'm not really sure, but for now that's all that I know of, and I think that's a lot more than most people will know. A big shout out to Lil Xan. You've had the weirdest career ever, and I've followed along the entire time and just taken a lot of joy out of looking at it all. And hope you all enjoyed that scroll through memory lane, because I definitely did. If you liked the video, definitely like it. If this video gets 1,000 likes, I will staple my nutsack to the side of my leg, and also subscribe because I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. Big shout out to Little Xan, shout out to Knife Gang, shout out to everybody. I got a Discord server that I will link in the description below if you want to join there so you can see my videos when they first come out. And hey, I even have a Patreon page. I don't really want to advertise this too much, but if you want to go there and throw me a couple dollars, it would really help out. But for now, that's it. Thank you guys for watching.